Good morning, good evening, good to who needs it. Buffalo Bill Cody is a complicated character in American history. He was a Civil War Union soldier and a scout in the Indian Wars. He made horrific claims as part of his Wild West shows about his interactions with natives, but also employed indigenous persons and apparently maintained friendships or at least civil relationships with them. He was one of the first American performers to take a retinue of his performers and himself on a road touring Europe. He was there performing for the debut of the Eiffel Tower and at so many other important moments of the era. And maybe most importantly, and least remembered, he was the first president of the Showman's League of America, which was formed to protect performing artists. The Showman's League of America formed in 1913 with Buffalo Bill at its head. Many of his shows would be deeply, concerningly problematic. But something to hold on to is that Buffalo Bill cared deeply about his performers and making sure that their needs were met. Which brings us to Showman's Rest. Sadly, on June 22, 1918, the Hammond Circus train wreck took the lives of between 56 and 61 employees of the Hagenbeck-Wallace Circus, closer to 81 lives in all, with over 100 injured. But the tenacity of circus performers is absurd. The Hagenbeck-Wallace Circus only needed to cancel 2 performances after the tragedy because almost immediately other circuses such as the Ringling Brothers came to the aid of the smaller troupe, replacing equipment, lending performers. Even the people from Hammond stepped up to bring food and aid to performers so that the show could go on. Showman's Rest was a cemetery designed and paid for by the League to lay to rest circus performers whose families would not claim them or who could not otherwise afford burial. The victims of the wreck were interred in a mass grave following services paid for the League on the burial property purchased by the League. Many could not be identified or were only known by monikers, yet markers and gravestones were designed as some of the most whimsical, beautiful monuments to the performers. People can still be buried there on the 750 plot acreage purchased by Buffalo Bill, and it's considered a great honor as a performer. A common monument at the cemetery is an elephant with their trunk lowered to show mourning. Some claimed for years after the Hammond wreck that the sounds of the elephants from the train collision could be heard at night in the cemetery.